afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're here at the Rockstar Energy Drink Uproar Festival, and we're
You
here.
said that very correctly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was really watching people that had to. It's a mouthful,
Yeah.
isn't it?
The Rockstar Energy Drink Uproar Festival
And we're here.
with Escape the Fate, Craig and Robert, at the
And-
Rockstar Energy Drink Uproar Festival here in Montreal, Quebec today.
And I think it's night 12.
Mhm.
This is the 12th day. You've got another 18 to go, but who's counting? Another 18,
18?
shows. Not
Who's
18
counting?
days.
Not me for sure.
How
That's
is
good
the
to know
tour
that we
going?
have 18 to go. The tour's going amazing.
Yeah, it's been really like a lot of dreams coming true on this tour. So it's
Yeah?
been amazing. Yes.
Like, can you give me a for instance?
Yeah.
Or-
Give her an example, Robert.
Well, for me, just to share a stage with Avenged Sevenfold is an honor. I definitely grew up listening to them. I was on their street team. I was on the fan club. I did all of that, and so like I used to wait backstage and harass the band when I was younger. Whenever they'd come through Vegas, I was the first one in line. I was always like trying to promote them and everything. So now it's come full circle, and I'm on tour with them, and I got to hang out with them the other day. And I don't drink, but I had a drink with Mr. Sinister Gates.
You
I was
drank?
like, I had a taste. I didn't
What did you
drink. This
It was a
ridiculous.
Rockstar Energy drink.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it's a
Rockstar
Rockstar
Energy.
Energy drink.
It's some sort of alcoholic beverage, and I don't normally drink, but I pictured me from high school worshiping them would have killed
Just
me
trying
if
to
I
kiss
didn't.
ass.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jumping on the bandwagon.
So, yeah, so I totally like that was
Just kidding.
that was a dream come true, and to play with like bands like 3 Days Grace, and just to be a part of this festival it's honestly a big honor, and I'm really happy about it, and so it's been good.
I don't think that there's honestly anything wrong with being enthusiastic. If people like mistake that for fanboy or whatever,
Yeah.
let them.
Yeah.
When you love something, I think you should let that freak flag fly. And
Absolutely.
I do. I get told, suggested to tone it down constantly. And you know what?
He
It's
always
like,
gets told to tone it down.
well,
Yeah.
you know what? If you are what you
But
are,
he never
right?
does.
Your energy's
He
good,
never does.
and
He
it's
always,
like
he always lets that. How did you put it? He always lets his freak flag fly.
that's
Yeah,
good.
I honestly
It's
don't
cool,
care
though.
because it's like, I guess for my mom and dad, they always taught me like to keep everything. And, like they're very big on like kind of souvenirs and relics,
Okay.
and like oh, he used this pick to play this song back in '92, and so like I've always like been like that, very nostalgic.
His
And
parents have
so-
a whole
Yeah.
Escape the Fate room at their house. Where
Nice.
anything Robert gets from signings, or if he sees a cool poster, or if we were part of some festival, he'll go to the festival and ask for it. He'll keep it all nice. He'll take it home to his parents. His parents will put in this nostalgia
That's
room.
pretty
So-
awesome.
I haven't even seen the room.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it.
It's been kind of hard lately because Craig's he likes to keep stuff, so it's kind of been having to let stuff go with him. But after I saw his apartment, I saw how much he takes care of everything. I'm like, all right, I can
I
let
try to keep some things.
Yeah, so let some of the big cool posters go and all that. But so when I'm a fan and I tend to be really excited to meet someone, I don't hold back. I straight up ask them for an autograph and a picture. Like I don't care, And it's weird because there's that side where people do that to me. So
And
so it's very interesting,
so when other people do it to you, it must strike a chord with you. Like, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
you
that's-
think
yeah,
of
that's
for
how I
every
feel
person
every
who
day.
does, right?
Uh-huh.
There must be 10 that
Every
are
day I
too
see
shy.
it. If it's one kid down in the crowd and singing along, I think about that every single time because I was doing the same exact thing. I was like 13 years old, going to like the Warped Tour or local shows and just wishing I could be up on that stage in like the crappiest, smallest venue. Now here I am, sharing the main stage with just amazing artists like Bullet, Seether, 3 Days Grace, Avenged, Seven Dust, our good friends at Black Tide, and just to be a part of it is just amazing. So I get reminded of that every day.
Oh, that's great. It's awesome when you stay grateful. There's something that keeps you grounded, and you can because it can't be easy. You're on tour and you're in a whole different life
It definitely gets hard.
for 7 weeks.
There's definitely been times where I sit back and I start acting a different way, and I start realizing like, dude, you shouldn't act this way. You should be grateful, because I feel like the second you're not grateful about what you have, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah, you know what? That would be that's a good message.
Yeah.
It's not just for musicians, but like everybody.
I had to actually go through a big phase with that because I became like such a diva where I was like, I didn't even realize it. And like it came off very much as arrogance when really it was so much insecurity inside me for so long, because I was frustrated and I felt like out of control of everything because I was always being dictated to by other people, whether it's like my band or when, you know, or having to settle for this and all the little things I couldn't have, you know, with that comes with being on the road. Like, it overwhelmed me when I started to take a step back and go, you know what, it's not that bad. Sometimes you have to compromise and it's okay. And you know, when I started to have a hard time realizing what I should give my fans and what I shouldn't, and like what's private, what's not, and when I can sign an autograph and when I can't. And you know, and what really humbled me was one time I went and I tried to meet Manny Pacquiao, who's a boxer, famous boxer, right?
Right.
And like for me, that was like an idol thing. And I went and I was like, oh my God, he shook my hand. And I'm like, dude, that was amazing. That's like the best day ever because I just met this guy, you know? And so if I could do that for other people, then I'm going to do it, you know? And it feels good.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so I feel like it's almost like a responsibility, but it's really fun at the same time.
So would you be able to give some advice to somebody who, let's say, somebody who's just lucked out and won't find themselves in a band touring and doing Uproar next year, and it's their first time? Would you have a piece of advice to give them?
I always tell people if I meet them at the signings, I'm like, well, I hope I see you in like a year or two. Like, I hope I see you out on tour with us. So I feel like that's how it is, and I feel like that's the magic of the music business sometimes. Like, beneath all the bull crap that comes with it, beneath all the fakes and the liars and just everybody, the true magic is how it comes full circle. How like I was in the front row singing along. Now there's some kid in the front row singing along saying I influenced him, and then who knows what he's going to be doing someday. Like, hopefully, who influenced me got me here. I'm influencing him. He's going to be influenced to influence somebody else, and it's just, it's great. I love it.
And when there's some openness, it really pays it forward. People just keep going. It's great.
Yeah.
Recording wise, how did the record get put together?
Well, mostly how we've come to work on things. The first record, we got kind of rushed into it. We wrote a few songs, just classic, jamming out in the garage together and
Literally.
just putting songs together. Yeah.
My cousin's garage.
My cousin's garage. Then we got more into our guitarist, started recording stuff on his GarageBand, just a simple program on any MacBook. And when he felt like the song was put enough together well, he would, you know, give it to me. I'd listen to it, come up with some melodies, some lyrics, show him some lyrics and some melodies I had. He'd think of a guitar part. That's kind of how the whole last record came together. It was just a bunch of demos we had on the laptop. Pretty much took it to the studio, fine-tuned some things, recorded it.
Nice.
The final product came out.
So are you still using GarageBand now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or when you've got ideas and when you want to put some preliminary things
I think
together?
he's using like other stuff too, like Logic now and
right.
stuff like that, you know. And there's still some stuff that, like with John 5 and stuff, like we do like co-writes and work with other artists, and you just get a feel for other people. The Aftermath, that song was written in like a jam space, and we were playing. It was kind of garage band style, and then, you know, once we kind of got it settled down, he worked on his vocals on his own, and so we kind of did it that way. But there's other techniques as well, but for the most part, it always starts on the computer and then turns into something bigger.
I love doing things sometimes. Just even if we don't use something. For instance, we wrote a song once with Mick Mars, and it didn't make it on the last record. We're hoping to put it on the next one, but I just love doing it because you get someone else's input and how they would interpret something that you're hearing. You know what I mean? Almost like when you read a book and you interpret it in your brain, you know, and then you see the movie, you're like, oh, come on, you should have done it like this, should have done it like that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to get different opinions.
It's funny because I find that a lot of the time when I talk to guitar players, one of my favorite things is like, if you got a piece of gear that you're really excited about right now, is there something that's inspiring you? And sometimes it's a pedal or something, or a new guitar, something that produces a new texture or a new sound.
Oh, yeah.
So for singers, it's got to be something, you know.
Oh, it's like we did it. I mean, we didn't. I don't think we used anything that we co-wrote with somebody.
Liars and Monsters.
Well, that's John File. I'm talking about like vocal-wise.
Well, working with Jay.
Yeah, working with Jay. But yeah, no, that's how it is for me. Like if I have a song and I'm listening to it and I'm interpreting it some way, and then for instance the last record, you know, we talked to this guy, talked to that guy, and to just hear how they interpret it, it's just very interesting to me. And I'm like, oh, you know, I wouldn't have thought to do it that way, or I didn't hear that in the music. I didn't think to do that. So it's really cool to branch out.
And speaking of gear, have you got anything that you're excited about using these days? Is there any new little pieces
Honestly,
on your way?
We're probably the least gearhead band, you know. It's more just like a raw energy with us typically.
Nice.
So I mean, for me, it's like I always rely on my drum tech a lot to help me and make sure we get whatever it is that sounds good and all that kind of stuff I do. I told him before we walked in, it's funny, I was like, you want to do this interview? He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm not in the band. I'm like, just do it with me, and it'd be awesome if he was here because we could go over some stuff, but I mean, I've had the same setup for years
I know our
now.
guitarist is pretty stoked. He just got this, what is it, like some new amp thing. He's right there. I'll just ask him.
We grab
right.
it. Look,
Well,
if you look,
yeah, let's.
look,
Yo, what's that?
he's working
Sorry,
on it
buddy.
right now.
What's that new thing?
That's our
Fractal.
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 See, they're working on it right now.
Hi.
What up?
How
I'll
you
tell him about
doing?
it.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
come tell
talk
us
to
about your
a
gear,
Fractal?
dude.
Awesome. Thank you.
What's up? How
Hi.
you doing?
I'm good. How you
It's
doing?
Thrasher here.
Hey, Thrasher.
What's
I
your
met you
equipment?
earlier today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How
Missed you.
doing? Yeah, I missed you too. It's so nice to be back.
It's great to be back.
So you have a new piece of gear you're all excited about?
Yeah, we got the Fractal Axifx processing unit, and right now we're just playing with it and getting some cool tones. And we're very excited to bring that boy on
we
the
were just
road.
talking about like when you get something new, you're just sitting there and playing on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's out there working on some pieces.
Yeah,
of
we're just like
equipment.
figuring it out right now.
So
it's
it's not
sweet-
gonna hit the stage today. This
Not-
is like a,
not this very
not-
instant.
Okay.
Not in
Maybe
Montreal.
tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
But maybe tomorrow
Yeah.
if I can figure out how to use it.
Well, thank you very much for dropping in and saying
Thank you.
hello.
No problem.
Have a great show.
At Kate Thrash.
And
Love you guys.
Get the fuck out of here.
I feel the love. It does. It feels like a family.
Honestly, though, it brings up a good point, though, because a lot of times a piece of equipment you get and like the technology you use really influences the sound you make. And for us on the last record,
Oh yeah,
the computer.
experimented with so much
The,
stuff.
the computer was like the fifth member of the band, you know, because anything we'd ever done before, we were playing together,
Okay.
and you were raw like the guitar and drums, and
Yeah,
then
they're doing the different sounds. Like we did a few songs on 7-string guitars just
Yeah.
because it sounded a little cooler.
Okay.
We experimented with just tuning the guitars lower because I would hear it different and sing a different way, and that sounded kind of cool. And
Okay.
it was just easy for him to be on the computer and be like, well, I recorded the guitars like this, but let me drop it a key and see what that would sound like. Oh, that sounds cool. When we go in the studio, we should use a 7-string.
and then
So it's
and then the
definitely really-
effects that were there to like really bring the songs to life, and they became a bigger part, whereas before they would kind of lie underneath the shakers and the synth sounds, and that was to
I feel like
enhance
that
it, but now
ambient
it's part of
background,
it.
that ambient background noise that nobody that doesn't make music would ever notice is there, I feel really gives the song some feeling behind it.
It's like the
sometimes.
lighting, you know,
Yeah.
like candlelight for a romantic dinner
Yeah,
or
and you know,
something. You may not really
Yeah,
notice.
just like that eerie sound of the background gives that
Yeah.
song the eerie feel you want it to have, so that not only you're interpreting it, but you can, you know, have people hear what you're trying to create, you know, in a mass
Yeah,
For
or-
sure.
effect.
Now you said when you put the guitars over the drums. Do you put guitars over the drums when you're recording? Is that
What do you
you
mean?
lock after the drums are recorded? You do your bed tracks.
Yeah,
Is it guitars next or bass next?
it actually is guitars next.
Okay.
And then you go back and do the bass because what were they saying? Like that's a producer thing.
Yeah, I
really.
don't know what they
Yeah,
were saying.
Or-
But I've talked to a
Well,
few bands
because-
that do it that way.
Because we've done, when we were in the studio with this producer, John Feldman, we kind of actually wrote some of the songs kind of like just being in a garage kind of way. We're all hooked up in the studio.
Okay.
And we were just kind of jamming and listening to each other. And I heard some of that stuff back and it sounded killer. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be kind of cool just to record it like they did back in the day. Just one take
One
after
take,
take.
yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
made a mistake. Start the whole song
Yeah.
over everyone.
I think
Yeah.
we should do that one
That'd
time.
be
But
fun.
I don't know. I think that's how Foo Fighters just did their last record.
Really?
But
Really?
they did it on tape, eh? They did it on tape.
Well, they
Like,
are-
They
they
didn't
are
do
amazing,
digital,
so-
so
But
in
it's-
his garage.
There's a
Really?
Dave Grohl's garage.
There's
yeah.
a lot of different aspects with that. Well, I always thought we'd done it before with drums, bass, guitar. And
Right.
you always think that would be the normal way, but we actually did drums, guitar, then bass, because I think what happens is once the drums are complete, things tend to change just a bit, And so when you lock in the guitar, that's essentially going to be a usually bigger piece, at least in this band, than what the bass is going to do.
Right.
And where the bass, well, on some songs it's its own thing, but for the most time it makes the rhythm stronger.
Right.
You know, so the guitars have to be locked in, you know, because the guitars can change what the bass is going to do, but the bass isn't going to change what the guitars do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you
that
want to
totally
change up
makes
the
sense.
riff a little bit and the bass is already recorded, you're going to have to get somebody back in there to re-record it.
Exactly. So,
And I've been hearing quite a bit of that. Which
so
is, it's an interesting new thing. I wonder if
You
it's,
definitely, the studio, I love the studio because the songs that you have, they end up coming out different. We end up pulling each other's hair out. We had so many songs to pick from. It's like, oh, which song should we use? And then the record finally gets released, and you're like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have used that.
done
Yeah, that one.
And it's crazy because I remember like I was done with my drums and then I'd leave and then I'd come back like, you know, a few days later or a week later and listen to what they've been doing, and then I hear his vocals. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Don't do this. And he just like shakes his head and like, because I don't get it yet, you know. And then I come back. It's like, oh shit, okay, see what he's talking about. And it's like the starting point, you build it, and when it becomes, it's crazy. And then, you know, now that we're here live and see what it becomes in that way, it's just like a whole nother world, you know.
Yeah.
So you really make a mark with just like one day you just pick up a guitar and you're like, this sounds cool, and then it just changes the world, you know. It's pretty cool.
One of the things that I find really cool, like when I was doing a little bit of my homework before talking to you guys, is that Thrasher's actually replacing another member for the tour, correct?
Yeah.
So the other member, though, is spoken of so highly, and so he's totally part of the family. He's just not required
Oh
to
yeah,
be
he's
part of.
Well,
And you're still writing and involved, and to me, it's an evolution because
yeah. Some people might look down on that, but it's
I
like
don't. I
the
think
guy
it's wonderful that
is
you
a
can
different.
work.
He's a different human being. He honestly grew up, and I'm not trying to say like he's the greatest guitar player that ever lived or anything, but I'm a fan of his work, and I think he's an amazing guitar player. And he kind of grew up. I mean, we were talking, and when management first met him, he literally had his bedroom. He didn't even have a mattress. He just had a blanket and a pillow and his guitar in the corner, and that's all he had. And he's this very shy, kind of socially awkward guy, but that was kind of cool for the band because he was like that mysterious, quiet dude. And he really speaks through his guitar is what he does, because that's all he has. And just being on tour and being surrounded by people in a small bus, and he also he can't eat meat because of his health, so he has to eat super healthy, and then you're in these other countries or you're on a festival where they don't really have what he needs to get, and it got very frustrating for him. So it got to the point where he was talking, he's like, I can't handle the road anymore. It's like, well, we're not going to force you to do something you don't want to do. You keep on forcing someone to do something they don't want to do, he's going to end up not even liking the music he makes anymore, not liking himself, not liking us. He's going to end up resenting the band and resenting what he does, and he's going to think it's not the right path for him. So he just needed some time. He wanted to go home. He wanted to focus on just the music, so he's working on songs for the next record. And you know, we're lucky enough and blessed enough to have someone else that can play it just as well as him. We've known Kevin for quite a while now, toured with him
It's weird
5 years ago, you know.
We haven't really been open about this at all because it just kind of you keep the train rolling as a machine, as the band, as an entity. You keep the train rolling, but it's like with him, it's like I genuinely love him. He's like my best friend, and touring, you know, you hear all these things like there's a lot of beautiful things, but for a person inside it can be very, very hard. And for him, he's a very spiritual person. He's very like, he's trying to find himself essentially, and the road in the future could be something he comes back to, but for right now he needs to figure himself out. And his energy was essentially bringing us down because he knew that he was unhappy out here,
Right.
and it kind of even hurt us because we're always like, what's wrong, like
For
we're
sure.
doing really well, like be happy, dude, you know. And it's just like, if you're not happy, you're not happy. And you know, it's the little things that add up over time that become huge things. And I haven't really talked too much about it, you know, because in time he will give more of a reason. Maybe he won't because he is very private. But you know,
I'm stoked about
It's
it.
Yeah,
amazing.
so-
He's been sending me some songs, and I'm just like,
So he's,
Yeah, so
he's
we're excited,
working.
dude.
Yeah.
He's working on the other things. So
Yeah.
when you guys are done touring and you're ready to get back to work and thinking about new material, he's gonna rise up and shine.
Exactly.
It's
And
amazing
that is
because-
where he shines more.
Yeah.
He's not even a live guy. He doesn't really like being on stage. He likes being in the studio. You know, where me, I'm like, I feel my job is on stage, you
Okay.
know, and it's like that's what makes a band, you know. And so if he's doing his best where he does his best, that's a good thing.
I so deeply respect that. When I learned that yesterday, and I thought, wow, you know, it's like, it's so evolved. I was writing a column a short time ago, and I was talking about a musician back in the day. He had to strap on his guitar or step up to the microphone, and that was his job. Now you guys have to be PR guys. You need to be technological wizards. You need to be lawyers. You need to be agents. Where does the responsibility end, you know? And
I do
when
not
music
know.
comes
Exactly.
through, music
And
comes
it's
through
it's
some
tough
people,
because you're
they may not have the whole package.
you're a kid, dude, and you get up and you're just like I like music. I want to be a musician, you know. And then like you get into here and it's like, holy fuck! Like I just want to play my damn drums. I just want to sing, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like you really do. You're everything in one, and the rush can be overwhelming.
I'll
You
bet.
know? So it's
There's a lot of factors a lot of things that always try to bring you down. But like we were saying in the beginning of the interview, you just gotta always remember how excited you were as a kid to do this.
Yep.
And you know, we're here whether anybody likes it or not.
honestly,
we're still here
like
doing what we love to do.
hearing you say it, it sounds awesome because to us on the inside, it kind of it feels like we're scared to like where it's a new venture. To
It
hear
is
you say it,
new,
it's
but
like we're doing the right thing. You know,
it's
it feels
people
good.
that work
Yeah.
from home.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make them any less a player because they're not in the office? Mm-mm. You know,
As
I
long as
think
they're
it's
working.
just.
I mean,
yeah.
he's working and
And I
he's
think that
sounding
it's,
great.
it's
So
brilliant, and I think it's evolved. And I was really excited to meet you guys when I learned about that because I thought, wow, you know,
Yeah.
what a cool thing. And there's the loyalty, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, and the love and the understanding. And we don't always see that end of things, and it's nice when you see it.
oh yeah, we all.
But you guys are still badass. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
man.
You're the most grateful badasses out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're the most caring badasses
Thoughtful
out there. dude.
badasses. There we go.
Well, I mean, we all, you know, anybody that is a fan of our band and has read about our band knows that, you know, years ago, all of us in different kind of, what am I trying to say? Different kind of backgrounds and stories, we all wanted to do this, and it all almost got taken away from us. And, you know, when we got together and band together, we're like, let's do this.
Hang on to it tighter.
Yeah, can't let anything stop us.
Good for you.
We can be the most hated, we can be the black sheep of any tour we can be on, but I don't give a shit. We're still up there doing what we love to do.
I'm looking forward to watching you guys do what you're gonna do.
Well, thanks.
So thank you for taking the time to talk
Thank you
with
for
me
taking the
today.
time.
I so appreciate it.
Appreciate it.